Good morning, Forest Park. Today is May 26, 2021. I'm Don Jones. I'm the city manager here in Forest Park. And this is our show Off the Cuff. We want to take a little time to tell you about what's going on in our city. Take about 2 or 3 of your minutes normally, but we're going to do a little bit more in depth today. If you recall, last week we talked about some of the environmental programs that we run here in our city. We're very proud of them, and there are a bunch of them. So we wanted to take a little bit more time, get a little bit more in depth. So we had Dana at Waycross Media do a show in the studio with our environmental manager, Wright Gwyn, and take more time to describe the programs. But today, on a more serious note, again, today's May 26th. This weekend is Memorial Day. And we always want to take the opportunity to remind folks to honor and remember those who served and gave their lives for this country. Take time. It's not all hot dogs and picnics this weekend. Take time to honor those who gave their lives. Remember what the holiday is for. And more importantly, take time to tell your family stories. Everyone's got a story about someone in their family who, whether it was my grandfather in World War I, my other grandfather in World War II, and my father and so forth. But everybody's got a story about the folks in their family. And take the time to impart that story to the next generation so that they can understand the history of their family and the history of the country and the sacrifice it took to move this country forward and to protect our way of life. Okay, now let's take a look at what Wright had to say about our environmental programs.
We are in the Waycross studio, and we have with us the manager of the Forest Park Environmental Program, Wright Gwyn. Thank you, Wright, for coming in.
Thank you.
There are a whole lot of environmental programs happening, and we're going into spring and summer, and that's just a really busy time for all these programs. So you're here to keep us up to date and make sure we know what's coming, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, so what should we start with?
Well, let's start with the programs that are going on now, right now. And we have about 3 that are going on, and a lot of them revolve around trees. We have a reforesting Forest Park program, which we will subsidize up to 80%, 6-foot tall trees. Where we only have about 20-some left, but people have to fill out the order form and send me their partial costs. But if you're interested in a tree, call me as soon as you can at the office, and I'll tell you how many trees we have and what kind of trees.
So, and this is part of Forest Park being a tree city, because Forest Park has been a tree city for years, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic, because a 6-foot tree is usually really expensive to put in your yard.
Yes, it is. And we get a good price from Natorps, and then we cut it down even further with subsidies from our program.
That's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing more trees go up in Forest Park.
Right.
What's another program we can look forward to?
Another program is a large appliance collection program. Now, these appliances can be a stove, a refrigerator, a freezer, window air conditioning unit, humidifier, washing machines, dryers, anything, a white item, kind of large appliance kind of thing. We're especially focused on the refrigerators, the freezers, the humidifiers, and the air conditioners because they have Freon. And it's very difficult to properly get rid of these items because of the Freon. It could cost somebody $100 to $150 to have it professionally drained and put a sticker on so people know that there's no Freon in it. So we'll take care of all that. All they have to do is call me. We'll arrange a time when Public Works will come by and pick it up, and they're good to go.
That's fantastic, because you've got that covered from an environmental perspective, but I see that also as kind of a beautification, neighborhood zoning perspective, because the ones that people don't know how to get rid of wind up on curbs and in lots and places where we don't want them.
They're everywhere. I mean, everywhere. So yes, it's turned out really well. In fact, we're way ahead of where we were last year. Now, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and people buying things. I don't know. But we are way ahead of where we were last year.
I wonder if more people are cleaning out.
A lot of people are cleaning out, so that could be a reason too.
That's fantastic. So there is one more program in your list of things that are happening right now.
Right this moment, right. It's our Nature Program Scholarship program where we do not have the staffing to do nature camps or anything. And since it's in the summer and we're not working with kids in the schools, we have to do something during the summer. So we provide a scholarship, a 50% scholarship for kids to go to either the greater parks of Hamilton County or the zoo. And all they have to do is register. They go ahead and pay whatever organization they want to send their child to, and then we reimburse them when they send us the paperwork. And we've got that all ready to go. Anybody who's interested in sending their kids to one of those programs, do it. We'll help pay for it. But a new twist is the zoo is also having programs for adults and families, whole families. And so I thought, we'll do that too. So we'll do a 50% subsidy on a family if they want to take their whole family down to the zoo and go to a program that they offer for families. And adults, they might want to just get a bunch of adults together and go, well, we'll do that as well. So and I'm hoping somebody takes me up on that because I think it'd be a neat thing to do.
Oh, I'm really excited about that because I got your email about the programs for kids. And I was already excited about that because I have a lot of friends in Forest Park with kids. They just got out for the summer.
Right.
If they go to Winton Woods, they just got out for summer break, which means there's a whole plethora of parents in Forest Park saying, now what?
Right.
But all of the fees for all of these programs can add up, especially if you have more than one kid in the house. But Hamilton County Great Parks, that's Winton Woods, that's right down the street. They have so many programs.
Right.
The Cincinnati Zoo has all kinds of interesting programs. But to also offer that for adults now, even if you don't have kids in your house, you should go look at these programs. There's something on that list that looks really fun.
I think so. I got excited, and but I haven't gotten any calls. And if they're interested for their child or for themselves or for their family, I do recommend that they do it now. Give me a call because they fill up fairly quickly. All these sessions do. So the sooner they can get call the organization or check out my website, it's right on my homepage. They can go to either program and find out if there's any openings. And if there are, go ahead and do it if you're halfway interested and send me the paperwork and then we'll reimburse them in September.
So seniors who find a really neat program at the zoo, this is something they can do too?
They're adults.
Okay, all right.
So I would say yes.
So if you're watching this program and there were some programs you were thinking might look really neat at the zoo or things down at Winton Woods that Great Parks is planning, take a look at that. While there's still time to sign up to get a 50% reimbursement from Forest Park. What a great way to balance not being able to do the programs in-house and just still make sure that people are connected to things to do in the summer. Right,
and the greater parks of Hamilton County, the Winton Woods, they have virtual sessions that they can do at home too. And so there is a smaller cost of that, but we'll fund 50% of that as well.
That's fantastic because if you don't want to drive your kid all over the county,
do it at home.
Sign up for some virtual ones. You've still got programming. You're still keeping them busy, but you didn't have to drive them anywhere.
Right.
So that's summer programs. Let's, and I'm warm today. It's 80-something degrees. Summer programs seem like the right thing to talk about.
Right.
But let's talk about fall programs. There's more stuff coming in the future.
There's more stuff coming. We finally got everything tied down for a community paper shredding event. A lot of people have been calling up for that. So it's going to be September the 25th from 10 to 1 o'clock. We'll have that on our website fairly soon. And it will be at Kemper Meadow Park. So people, if they're familiar, if they've gone through it, we'll have just a line. People go through the line, give us their papers. They don't even get out of the car. And we'll shred it right there on site.
Excellent.
And along with that program, we have and we did this 2 years ago because we didn't have this last year because of the pandemic. We have a used tire collection drive. So we have a big dumpster close by that we direct them. If they just have tires, they come through here. They give me the tires. I'll put them in the dumpster. Again, they don't need to get out. And so we do 2 different programs on the same day at the same time.
That's great. So all summer, if folks are cleaning out, now that their taxes are done,
right?
Hopefully, fingers crossed, All of the things that they don't need to save that might have identifying information on it, they can just save that all through the summer, because
Right.
in the fall, there's just shredding day. But also tires that are in the yard and you don't know what to do with it, just like the appliances. This is environmentally sound, but it will also help with the beautification of Forest Park. We don't want to find them lying around in alleys. We want to have them brought to this tire collection event.
Right, and it's important that those people hearing about this program, if they know their friends or neighbors who have talked about this before and not knowing what to do with these things, to tell them about these programs or tell them to give me a call, and I can give them a heads up on when and where.
So another thing we look at in fall is the tree removal program.
Right.
And that's something that people generally will probably need to do a whole program about those details when we get closer to fall. But briefly, tell me a little bit about what that entails.
We have modified this program. Before, people would have to register in December. Free assessments for the trees, they had to be dead or dying trees, would be in January, and we would remove them in February and March, right in the dead season for these contractors. Give them some work to do, and we could, get some trees out. Well, then the contractor said to me, he says, a lot of these trees are just dead limbs. They don't qualify for a dead or dying program for a tree, but they do have dead limbs. Can we expand the program to include dead limbs? So I said, the board didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with it. So now we're enlarging the program to include not pruning a tree, but cutting out dead wood, because we don't want that to fall on anybody. Okay, so that's one modification. The other modification, which the board agreed to do, was instead of a $500 subsidy, we were going up to $750. So we'll do a 50-50 match for cost up to our maximum cost of $750 instead of up to $500. So we've increased that. And people who've already maxed out with the $500, I've got the records. If they want to use that $250, they're more than welcome to come back in if they have some work to do.
So this goes back to being a tree city and making sure the trees are healthy, that when there's a storm coming through, that there's not more dead wood to fall and get knocked over, but also to make sure that it's not prohibitive for residents to keep their yards cared for and their trees cared for. Not a pruning service.
Not a pruning service.
But the dead stuff that you wish you could take care of and get out, but it's going to be prohibitive. This is a way to help with that.
Right, and the registration will be in August, free assessments in September, and then they'll either cut dead or dying trees down or dead limbs off in October and November. So this is the first time we've actually done it in the fall. So we're kind of seeing how it works.
Okay, so we can look in August is when we want to make sure we have our eyes open for registration information and details.
Right,
And
it'll be sent out a little before the beginning of August in an email and reader boards and things like that.
And this is a good time to note that your department, the environmental program department, has its own email list. So and that you regularly send out announcements. So if someone sends you an email, they can get on that list and never miss any of these, which is really important. Sometimes the information goes out other places like FPE News or on Facebook, but if you want to make sure you get everything from this department, get on Wright's email list, because that'll cover all of it.
Right, and I don't send out just anything. It's all related to environmental programming.
So speaking of environmental programming, one that we've talked about a lot more in the past is energy aggregation.
Right.
And now we've had the electric aggregation in place for a while. So what's that look like?
We've had it in place for about 9 months, and I get quarterly reports. And so the third quarter, we got the reports on how much as a community we've saved, because the aggregation program that we did is lower than what the cost of Duke Energy or anybody else is right now. And so the combined savings of everybody participating in this program for over a 9-month period is almost $200,000. Wow. Which equals to around $53 per household. And that's for doing nothing other than just changing who you're getting your electricity from.
Right. Duke is still bringing your electricity. Right. Duke is just getting it from the aggregation now instead of before from their other sources.
Right.
And it doesn't, that's it. That was the only change. But it's the group buy. It's because the city of Forest Park approved this aggregation so that you could go and see if there was a group deal. So there's a great group deal that you're getting through this aggregation for electric. What about natural gas? We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We've got all the paperwork done. We're ready to jump on anything if the deal is right. And so far, the oil market has been in flux. It's hard to really decide when to pull the trigger. And I've been talking with our energy consultants, and they've been watching it, and they said, it might be good just to hold off until the beginning of the fall. Because the summer, everything dies down. You're not using oil or gas for heat or anything like that. Let's just make sure that if we do this, we do it right, just like we did with the electric. We're seeing some great savings with the electric. We want to try to do the same thing with the oil. With the natural gas.
So folks that are wondering, they've heard a lot about the aggregation program. We know what's happening now. Right now, the electric is in motion and saving people money right now.
Right now.
And the gas aggregation, I kind of like that. It wasn't a question of let's just jump in because it's approved, but it's just waiting until it's really going to be a great deal.
Right. Like I said, all the paperwork's done. All we have to do is pick the right program.
So I'll look forward to revisiting that when that comes around and being able to talk more about what that means.
Right.
So there is an exciting kind of new futuristic thing on the list here, electric vehicle charging stations. Talk about that.
Right. Now, Andy Lewandowski, he is our HR and assistant manager. He wrote a grant. It's my understanding he wrote the grant to Ohio EPA. We got some money. The city's going to match that funding, and our program decided to go 50-50 with our city match because I think it's a great program. And we're hoping to install 4 charging stations in the parking lot behind the fire station. And hopefully that will be in the fall. I know Andy had a meeting with a company that installs these chargers. So I'm not really sure where we are, but I did ask him about when did he hope to have things really start moving, and he said probably early fall. And that would be great because we could then move into the city could start buying electric vehicles just for around the town, and then they could be open for residents if they have vehicles and they come visit the city building, they could charge while they're in the building.
I didn't even think about the vehicles for the town. That is fantastic. You can have city vehicles that are doing all their rounds, checking on zoning permits or doing whatever, and they can come back to the station and plug in. But I was thinking what a great thing for Forest Park to be able to say as you're recruiting in new businesses and new families and saying, oh yeah, and if you've got one of those new electric vehicles, we've got a place in town you can plug that in.
Right.
You don't have to drive over to wherever because they're only going to come to communities that have that available.
Right. I think there's an app that they showed us in our meetings that would say, where is the nearest charging station? And one I think was around 5 miles away from Forest Park. So we're kind of in this dead zone. So it'd be nice if we could have something that says in Forest Park we've got 4 chargers. So it would fill up that void, that kind of
absolutely.
charging desert.
And as you're pulling in different businesses and corporations and all those employees, some of them have hopefully more and more of them as we go will have electric cars.
Right. Well, I think that's where things are going. Right.
That's fantastic. So now we know it's Andy that we need to talk to for more details. So as that gets closer, we're going to have to tap him and find out more about this program.
Right.
We heard that, Andy. We know.
You didn't hear that
from me.
You didn't hear that from me, though.
No. It's definitely did not hear that from Wright. You definitely did not. No way of knowing that. So the last thing I want to talk about that we have on this list, because it is the exciting thing right now, is we have this periodic visitor to our area. They come every 17 years or so. And they're the cicadas. I'm stalling. I love the cicadas, honestly.
I do too.
So people are worried about the cicadas, though, because they're bugs. And, we're kind of conditioned to be concerned about bugs. So what are some of the things that folks are worried about cicadas and some of the things that we can know about cicadas?
Well, let's start with the very basics. They're harmless to us. There's not, the only problem is that the pets might eat them and eat so many they might get sick. And if we eat that many, we might get sick as well. So they're not dangerous to us at all. They're everywhere. My yard looks like it's kind of moving because of all the cicadas that are in the grass and in the plants and everything. They don't hurt your plants or flowers or anything like that. They do emerge and they crawl up trees, mature trees, not a problem. And I've been doing some research like you suggested that I do before I came. And so I've read some reports that says, they don't damage younger trees. Others says they do damage trees, but they won't kill the trees. And others says, well, depending on the health of the tree, what's going on. So what happens is when they emerge, what they're interested in is mating and laying eggs, the females. And so what they'll do is they'll crawl up, they'll look for a limb about 1/4 of an inch in diameter, and they'll slice the bark and they'll lay their eggs in the slit, and then they'll eventually die. They only last 4 to 6 weeks, these guys. Can you imagine being underground for 17 years and then only have a month and a half? If you're lucky, I mean, that's a rough life. But anyway, so they lay their eggs, they die, and what will happen is from the slit to the end of the limb is what's going to suffer. So it might look like that the ends of the branches are dying, and it might give you the thought that the whole tree is dying. But if you really look closely, it's just right at that point further out. And so you can prune the dead stuff off or dying stuff off, and you'll be fine. Others just, the forester for the Ohio Natural Resources Department says that really there's not any danger to young trees. But they might look bad after, at the end of the twigs. If they're really small trees, they might look bad. So you might want to trim them up. But if you want to cover them, which is a little late now, by the time they see this, it's a done deal.
They're here now.
I hate to tell people, next in 17 years, write this down so that you know what to do. But you can cover it with cheesecloth or some kind of a mesh. And again, the holes have to be no more than like 1/4 of an inch, or they'll go through the netting. But they come on a 17-year basis like we're doing now, also on a 13-year basis. And there are some broods that come every year, and they usually pop up in July or August. And they last about a month too. But, this has been going on for thousands of years.
I think it's kind of neat. I think this is something that happens historically. Also, they don't bite. They're not poisonous to your animals. I mean, they might eat too much.
They might eat too many of them.
They're not poisonous to people, which was really nice when my friend Pam left her teenage son at home and he boiled a few and ate them for fun.
Good protein.
That really happened, yes. Teenage boys, I guess they're always hungry. I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly.
And you can't, if you covered your trees, that's great. If you didn't cover your trees, don't panic.
Right.
You might just see little edges on the branches, but your tree's fine.
Depending on where they lay their eggs, it could be a part of a branch towards this length or something like that. But it's not, as far as I know, it's not going to kill your tree. I did not do anything with my trees. I just let things go naturally. It's been going on for a long time. And so far, and I've been through a couple of these broods, and I haven't lost one yet. So there you go.
And if you're really excited about the cicadas like me, there are cicada fan products all over Cincinnati, like T-shirts and stuffed animals and things like that. So, you can ride the cicada wave here.
And there are recipes. There are websites where you can saute a few.
I might need to send those to Josh so that teenager can do more than just maybe boil
he needs to broaden.
I think he needs to broaden his I'm happy to let him do that. If anyone is watching this in Forest Park and you have tested cicada recipes of your own, please tag in the comments, put a link, or send them to me here because I really want to know. Maybe that might need to be another program is what are the Forest Park residents doing with their cicadas?
Right.
Also, the wings are so pretty. Have you seen what they look like when the sun hits the wing and it's gold and it's just, so some people make jewelry out of the wings. So let me know. What are you doing with cicadas in Forest Park? I'm really curious. I think we have covered everything on this list. Is there anything else you want to make sure the residents of Forest Park know?
No, the only thing is, if they have any questions about what we're doing, just give us a call, or they can email me. That's not a problem, and I try to get back with people within 24 to 48 hours.
I think that's the key. If you're not sure, we just went through a whole bunch of programs. So if you need to know more about any of these, just call or send an email.
Or visit my website.
And all the information is there too.
Right.
Which is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been really great to get to use the studio set up here. We get to do this now because we're vaccinated, so we get to sit in the studio unmasked and have conversations again. So I'm looking forward to getting to do more of those.
This is always a treat. I always look forward to talking with you.
Well, now we know. There's more stuff we're going to need details on here.
Well, as soon as I get them, I'll give you a heads up.
First, though, cicada recipes.
Definitely the top one.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, thank you very much. And we'll be looking forward to these.
Well, that's a brief look at some of the things we have going on in our environmental program here in the city of Forest Park. I want to thank them for taking the time and the effort to get this information and get it out to the public. And if anybody has any of those cicada stories or cicada recipes, go ahead and get those to Dana. She sounds like she really wants them. So, but on a serious note, again, Memorial Day is coming up this weekend. Take the time to honor and remember those who served, those who gave their lives in service to this country. Take time to learn and pass those stories on to the next generation so that they can honor and see the sacrifice of the generations before them and understand how we got this country to where we are today. Again, stay safe, Forest Park. Thank you.